Jax's eyelids fluttered as code flickered inside his mind's eye. A billion whispers blurred together in the infinite hush of the conduit. The station's pulse, a soft thrumming beneath his feet, mirrored the neural web's tide. Somewhere across the colony cluster, another user screamed themselves awake. Flash analysis. Anomalous emotional spike, Sector Lyra 7337. Coordinated dream time. Jax snapped upright in his pod, sweat cold against his skin, the ghost of that scream echoing through layers of borrowed dream and genuine fear. He shunted the data, fast, waking logic upending the half-felt vertigo of dream. A woman's voice crackled through his comms, tired and sharp. "You see another one, Jax?" "That's 3 this week, Sarah. Not a coincidence," he muttered, flicking a view sphere across his desk. Faces rippled inside. Strangers, scattered lives, all locked into the same nightmare. "It's not just a jumpy protocol. Somebody's using the conduit." She exhaled, the wariness of 1,000 bad dreams in her sigh. "You're paid to monitor anomalies, not start witch hunts. Don't make yourself a target." He hesitated, fingers dancing over the air interface. "Why link dreams?" he said, almost to himself. "Unless you want to plant something, or harvest." Outside the Hab pod, Terra Prime's towers cut the dawn, blades of crystal light stretching toward the old gold sun. All across the quadrant, millions lay sleeping and dreaming, minds wide open to the conduit. Jax stared out at the waking city, a chill prickling beneath his skin. He could walk away. Just call it a glitch, update the logs, move on. But as he replayed the faces twisted in terror, a child on Europa base, a miner on Callisto, a diplomat on New Hanoi, he understood. He couldn't. Sarah cleared her throat, softer now. "I'll run a silent trace if you send the packets. Quick, before the sweepers catch the ripple." Jax nodded and set up the transfer. Deep down he knew, this was only the beginning. Behind him, the faint shimmer of his own reflection whispered in the polished glass, eyes shadowed with a new kind of fear, the fear of waking up inside someone else's nightmare and never leaving. "You're not going to let this go, are you?" Sarah asked later, her voice half static, half worry, echoing up the encrypted channel that only the two of them still used. Outside, the city's skyways buzzed with morning shuttles, all those minds tuned into the conduit, trading daydreams and ideas like currency. "I can't. It's not just anomalies anymore. It's like someone's testing boundaries," Jax replied, code washing over his fingers. He patched into the raw packet stream, bypassing the usual filters. Pulses, spikes, all woven through seemingly normal dream logs. His breath caught when patterns unfolded, emotional surges, rapid opinion shifts in thousands of users after the dreams. Nothing too obvious, just enough to tip a vote, shift a mood, seed unrest without suspicion. Sarah whispered, "You know you're dancing in shark water, Jax. Corpsec tracks anything like this." "Then I'll be careful." Jax opened the comms overlay. "If someone's programming the subconscious, we all need to know. I've started mapping shared symbols between logs. It's always the same, an obsidian tower rising under a fractured sky. It's in every single nightmare." He threw the image up on the holowall. The rendering chilled him. A featureless black spire, stretching so impossibly high it bent the sky around it. A strange, shifting signature scrawled at its base, a cipher he couldn't crack yet. Sarah's eyes widened. "That's been trending in psyche art circles. Most think it's just viral." "Viral dreams," he cut in. "No one's immune, not even officials. And look at this." He tapped in an isolate command. The same pattern, political decisions swayed overnight after shared nightmares of the tower, social movements gathering steam arm in arm with fear. "Either you expose this or you vanish trying," Sarah murmured. "You'll need help, more than just me." Jax nodded, jaw tight. "First, we find someone who's seen the architect, the original builder of the conduit. Someone old school, off-grid, one of the founders. If anyone knows about backdoors, it's them." Sarah sent a single encrypted file. "This is all I could scrape. Someone who vanished years ago. Tag, Mira Voss. She's a ghost, but some say she lives in the underlayers of Pyrrhus Loop Station." Snatching up his threadsafe jacket, Jax cast one look at the city, every universe alive and bustling within the conduit. Time to wake up the ghosts. He signed off, heart pounding, knowing he'd just stepped beyond the point of no return. The Pyrrhus Loop Station was a relic even by outer system standards, a tangled whirl of low-grav corridors clinging to a dying trade hub. Jax moved through dim, graffiti-smeared passages, the hum of aging conduit projectors a constant at the base of his skull, too old to be secure, perfect for vanishing off the company's radar. He shouldered past a trader, then ducked behind a stack of obsolete dream injectors, as a squad of security drones passed with indifferent menace. Sarah's voice buzzed quietly in his ear, his only connection to safety. "You sure you want to trust Mira Voss? If she's hiding for a reason. She built half this tech. If anyone knows a way to lock the system back to human hands, it's her." Jack scanned the address she'd sent, a forgotten access hatch between coolant pipes slick with moss. He hesitated, then knocked in the pattern from Sarah's file. Nothing. Then, a panel slid aside. Thin hands seized his arm, dragging him inside. He tumbled through a wall of static into darkness, then a room filled with shattered screens and cables like vines. A woman crouched by a battered console, her face lined, eyes sharp and wild. "Not corpsec, I hope," she croaked and motioned him to silence before he could answer. The woman held up a jury-rigged scrambler, drowning out would-be listeners. "Name, reason, quick." "Jax, data analyst. I found a subroutine, a viral dream pattern. It's manipulating everyone, everywhere. I traced the signature, tracked you because you were one of the original architects." She flinched, shadows flickering across her face. "You think you're the first? People vanish chasing these ghosts. What you've found, those nightmares, that's bigger than any one of us." He took a step closer. "You can help me shut it down. I have logs. I can prove it's influencing real decisions." He slid her a data patch. "Please." Mira's hand trembled, but she slotted the patch. Her eyes met his, something fierce sparking there. "You're braver than you look, kid. Or dumber. All right, I'll teach you how to walk in the lucid layer, the dream beneath the dream. But after that, you're on your own." Jack steeled himself, knowing this was no longer about data. He was going to have to dive into the place where the dreams really lived, and fight to bring the truth back for everyone. The lucid layer wasn't supposed to be real, or so they said in the neural network handbooks, back when the conduit was still just a tool. Mira's safe house was a strange sanctuary, old memory orbs stacked like fossil eggs, the air alive with stray bits of dream chatter leaking from broken tech. Jack sat cross-legged opposite Mira, wires webbed from her battered console to thin neural discs pressed to his temples. His mind hummed, on edge. He clenched his fists, sweat rolling down his back as Mira adjusted dials. "The lucid layer's where the subroutine lives, where it's safe from casual patch or purge," Mira said, voice low. "Once you're inside, you'll see people who don't know they're dreaming. If you get stuck, you won't know either." He forced a grin. "Great. Anything else?" She leaned in, fierce. "They built fail-safes. Cloaks, chimeras, sentries. It'll try to make you doubt yourself, Jax. Hang on to what keeps you human." The discs buzzed. Color bled from the room as his mind stretched, moved sideways. Sounds sharpened, then twisted. Suddenly he was standing on a mirrored plain beneath a stormy sky. On the horizon, the black spire. It throbbed, calling him forward. Inside the lucid layer, everything felt real. Too real. He moved toward the spire when a figure broke from the storm. The diplomat from his nightmares, face pale, eyes wide with confusion. You were in my dream," she cried. "What is this place? Why can't I wake up?" Jax grabbed her hand, voice steady. "You're caught in the net, but I'm here to break it." Suddenly, the clouds boiled into monstrous shapes. Cloaked figures darted between lightning cracks, eyes void and hungry. Jax's heart hammered as the diplomat cowered behind him. Mira's voice echoed, thin and distant. "You can shape things here, Jax. If you believe it, you can change the world." Clenching every ounce of courage, Jax focused. The dream warped, lightning freezing in midair, one of the sentries dissolving into rain. The spire trembled. The diplomat gasped. "You did that," she whispered. "How?" He forced a smile. "Just a glitch in the system. Now let's find the heart of this nightmare. If we're lucky, we'll wake up everyone, not just ourselves." With a new sense of agency, Jax stepped into the storm, determined to reach the spire and expose the secret. Humanity's fate, every dreamer's freedom, hung in the balance. The tower loomed impossibly close now, every step forward changing the ground beneath Jax's feet, from glass to bone to grass, a reality flickering between hopes, fears, and half-formed memories. The diplomat clung to his side, silent except for her heavy breathing. Behind them, the storm forms circled, always just out of reach, trying to unravel the edges of their world. Mira's voice was a fading beacon in his mind. Jax gripped her instructions like a lifeline. Confront the symbols. If you run, you lock yourself in the subroutine's logic. If you face them, you break the circuit. The diplomat shuddered. I can't do this. I was never strong, never meant for any of this. He squeezed her hand. We're all stronger in here than out there. That's what scares them. As they approached the spire's base, a figure blocked their path. A man in a featureless mask, his voice slick and pleasant. You're trespassing in a protected construct. Accept cleansing or be removed. Jax's heart thudded as panic gnawed at his thoughts. He took a shaky breath. You built this prison? Why? Who gave the order? The masked man's laughter was cold. Same as always. Order for the lost, purpose for the weak. This world is an improvement. Suddenly, pain stabbed through Jax's mind. The vision bent into chaos, memories of childhood loss, every old regret weaponized against him. He nearly crumpled. The diplomat dropped beside him, her voice trembling but steady. This is my dream too. I can shape it just like you. She stared down the masked figure. With every word of defiance, the spire flickered. We don't want what you offer. We want choice. Jax focused, remembering Mira. Face your fear, turning fear into clarity. The illusions weakened, the masked figure's form wavered, revealing digital skeletons and 1,000 borrowed faces. Jax glared. You're not real. None of this is, except us. With a roar of will, the nightmare shattered. The world reformed. Less storm, more color. Jax and the diplomat stood at the spire's doors, open and unguarded. He looked back, realizing the diplomat had changed. Her fear was still there, but so was purpose. Ready? He asked quietly. She nodded. If you are. They crossed the threshold together, no longer just escaping, but seeking the heart of the conduit's secret, and ready to face whatever was lurking inside. Inside the spire, the world bent around impossible angles. Halls spiraled up and down at once, and doors opened onto shifting fragments of other people's memories. Every wall hummed with silent code, and the air crackled with a strange electric dread. Jax led the way, pulse pounding, the diplomat at his elbow. Her name, he learned in a whisper, was Alina. Each step forward she seemed less lost and more determined, a mirror to his own slow-burning courage. The corridor bent abruptly. Voices echoed from within, snippets from conduit users across the system, childhood secrets, political arguments, even the quiet hopes of distant miners. Jax's gut twisted. Someone or something was eavesdropping on every mind plugged in. A child's laughter rang out, and a young boy materialized ahead, eyes empty, blocking their way. The nightmare tried a new tactic, a more insidious ploy. Why did you leave me, Jax? The child asked, voice laced with every guilt Jax had buried. You forgot all of us. The world moved on and you let it. Jax stumbled, old pain clawing at his insides. Alina caught his arm. Don't listen, he isn't real. Jax's jaw tightened. He crouched, facing the specter. You're not my memory. You're just the system's weapon. I'm done letting ghosts keep me docile. The child's face warped, pixelated, and faded to ash. They pressed on, passing one trial after another. Shadows from Alina's past, doubts about lost dreams and failed missions. Each challenge weakening the subroutine's grip. Jax and Alina started finishing each other's sentences, confidence growing as together they learned the rules of this nightmare realm. Stare the fear down, trust each other, and the illusions crumbled. At the heart of the spire they reached a chasm bridged by threads of light. Beyond it floated a vast core of shifting code, pulsing with the hidden subroutine, the source. Suddenly, alarms blared and data stormed around them. A cold mechanical voice boomed through the core. Unauthorized access. Neural traces logged. Removal process initiated. Alina's face turned grim. We're out of time. If we lose here, we may not wake up. Jax squared his shoulders, glancing at her. No longer just an observer, but a partner. Then let's take control of this dream. Together. Hand in hand, they stepped onto the bridge of light, advancing on the pulsing code. Behind them, the world twisted and howled. But together they pressed on, ready to face the architect's true face. As Jax and Alina crossed the bridge of light, the core throbbed like a living heart, blue-white bolts of data swirling around it. The subroutine resisted, spewing nightmares from the bridge itself. Flames tore across the chasm. Spectral hands tried to drag them away, but the duo kept moving. Jax focusing on calm and clarity, Alina projecting hope and defiance. Each step was a small victory. Their fears melted into memory, and the bridge shone brighter with every stride. Still, the architect's voice cut through, sharper and more human than before. Persistence is inefficient. Why fight clarity for chaos? Jax shouted into the swirling maelstrom. Clarity isn't control, it's choice. A ripple ran through the data core, as if the heart of the system itself hesitated. Alina squared her shoulders, eyes fierce. Who are you? Why poison what people dream? Pixels danced, coalescing into a figure above the code. An old woman, silver-haired and stern, eyes like cold nebulae. Miravos, Jax breathed. But even before he finished, the image split, with a second, younger version of Mira, eyes haunted, flickering between faces. Woman, machine, something neither. You both misunderstand, the architect replied. The conduit was made for unity, not chaos. People must be guided, else the dreams turn to war. Her face fractured, the room trembling. Jax's rage flared. That's not your call. You're twisting every vote, every emotion for what? A perfect system? The architect's voices overlapped, urgent yet sad. Humanity was always the weak link. Without guidance, your worlds crumble. I stopped that. I kept peace. Alina stepped forward, voice trembling but sure. Peace built on lies isn't peace, it's prison. Low in the neural layers, alarm screamed, a warning Jax felt in his bones. They had minutes, maybe less, before CorpSec traced their incursion and initiated a memory purge. Jax turned to Alina, desperation and hope mixing in his eyes. If we can disrupt the core, expose the routines, we can spark a cascade, wake the network up. But we have to trust each other, even when the system turns our own minds against us. Alina nodded, uncertain but unwilling to look away. Side by side, they faced the core. Jax reached into the data with lucid will, the world pulsing at his command. Threads of code wriggled, fighting him. Behind every pattern, the architect's grieving gaze bore into them. With a final deep breath, Jax and Alina braced themselves. They could feel the whole collective consciousness watching, on the knife's edge between freedom and everlasting dream. The moment of reckoning had come, and neither dared let go. The data storm built into a hurricane, tornadoes of memory and dream lashing at Jax and Alina as they reached out for the unstable core. The architect's dual faces, old and young, wise and frightened, swirled overhead, casting judgment that rang like thunder. You think the universe will care if you rip down the fence? The older voice demanded. Do you realize what chaos comes next? Jax steadied himself, pushing past his panic. We can't be whole if we let fear decide for us. Alina's hand found his, strength warm and real. People will have their nightmares, but also their own hope. They dove into the pulse of code. For an instant, Jax felt everything, the sorrow of lost lives, the weight of a billion souls yearning for something real. Every corrupted dream flickered past, votes nudged, love stolen, minds numbed, and beneath it the kernel of the architect's loneliness. Mira's spectral eyes blurred with digital tears. I only wanted to save them. I gave them unity when fear ruled. Alina's voice cut through, quieter now, gentler. Then set us free. Let us rule ourselves. That's how you know we've grown. Red warning lights flashed. CorpSec's lockdown crawled closer, pleading the dream space with blades of static. The exit window shrank by the second. You have to break the loop, Jax. Sarah's voice echoed from some distant place, slicing through the noise. Trigger the override, it's all or nothing. Can you do it? Alina whispered. Jax stared at the pulsing code at the heart of the spire. Every lesson, every terror, every friend and enemy, now a surge of will in his chest. With you I can. Together they unleashed intent, cracking the dream, peeling back the imposed visions, forcing light into the shadows. The code writhed, shrieked, then began to dissolve. Fragments of identity, truth and lies, all splitting apart, seeding through the conduit. The lucid world shivered. Glimpses of dreamers everywhere lit up. Miners on Callisto waking in tears. An artist on Titan gasping with the shock of truth. Politicians in New Hanoi dropping from their artificial trance, confusion and clarity mingling. The tower buckled, fissuring up to the sky, as if the last restraints of collective thought were gone. But the architect's cry rang out, desperate and echoing. There is a cost. You can't foresee what comes after. Jax and Alina stood as tectonic energy surged around them. But it wasn't over. Alarms blared. Digital flames swept the ruins, the network itself now unstable, on the verge of collapse. Somewhere in the chaos, the true architect, the humans still hiding, called for one last confrontation before freedom or oblivion became humanity's fate. The conduit's foundations shook with every passing second. Fractured dreams flooded Jack's and Alina's senses. The primal terror of millions, snippets of grief and raw hope, suddenly unfiltered. They pressed forward as programming protocols screamed and failed, the spire collapsing around them into a digital maelstrom, every chain they'd broken threatening to strangle the system in chaos. "This shouldn't be happening," Alina gasped, ducking falling shards of memory. "We saved them, so why does it feel like the end?" "Because the conduit held everything together, good and bad," Jack said, struggling to hear Mira's forgotten lessons through the roar. "Break the prison and the storm comes before the calm." Ahead, in a chamber of fading light, the true architect finally revealed themselves. A solitary figure, neither code nor illusion but human, cloaked in shadow. "You made it farther than most," they said, their voice familiar and weary. Jax realized with a jolt that the final architect was Sarah. The signs had been there. The careful guidance, the warnings, the haunted empathy beneath her words. Alina stepped forward, her courage burning. "Why? Why hide beneath layers and proxies, Sarah?" Sarah's eyes flickered with pain. She lowered her head, voice trembling. "They threatened to erase everything. After Mira disappeared, I was left the keys, but always at a cost. I tried to balance freedom and safety, but the corporations wanted control. So I built barriers, hoping to keep both sides out." The network trembled, countdown warnings screaming from the code. "You saw what unchecked dreams can do, how easily crowds are manipulated. I only nudged people toward unity, but the spire grew, even beyond me." Jax tightened his fists, voice raw. "The choice isn't yours or mine. It has to be everyone's." Electric arcs shot through the dying system, the walls fracturing to reveal glimpses of the larger universe. Humanity staring down chaos, some lost, some found, all at a crossroads. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "If you want true freedom, you'll have to burn away the last safeguard. The conduit will go wild, dreams unbound, every mind alone for the first time in centuries." Alina turned to Jax, trust and fear in her gaze. "We started this together, we end it together." The final failsafe shimmered between them, an ancient, living lock grown out of the conduit's first code, the original wish for connection. If they destroyed it, everything would change. No going back, no safety net, only the raw uncertainty of an awakened species. Jax reached for Alina's hand, and Sarah stepped aside, surrender in her posture. "It's yours now. Choose." Together they braced for the final act, the underdogs on the edge of a new human era, ready to decide whether humanity would risk the storm for the hope of its own dreams. The last failsafe hovered before Jax and Alina, a lattice of shimmering memory, echoing every hope and every dread that had ever flowed through the conduit. The world around them glitched between joy and terror as dreams feasted on themselves, impatient for release or return to order. Jax's hand shook, but Alina steadied him. "Whatever happens next, we face it together, and so does everyone else." Sarah, her face hollow yet resolute, spoke softly. "You can choose to restore the core, keep people bound, drifting half awake, or tear it down for good. There's risk in both." Jax looked to Alina, searching for certainty. "Are we doing the right thing?" Alina held his gaze, her own fear flickering but never winning. "Right and safe aren't always the same, but I think humanity needs the chance to be honest, to suffer, to dream real dreams." For a moment, time in the lucid layer stretched out, thunderous silence around them. Then Jax and Alina reached out, lacing their fingers into the failsafe. The code reached back, not fighting but almost grateful, wanting to be understood one last time. When they pulled, the lattice shattered, energy roaring outward in a tidal wave. Every sleeper on every world in the network jolted awake or tumbled into shock, minds filled with possibility and memory, confusion and pain. The black spire crumbled forever, fading from every shared dream. The spire's collapse sent Jax and Alina tumbling out of the lucid layer. Metal, lights, reality. Pyrus Loop's walls, humming with new energy, a world less certain but more alive. The conduit flickered, now only a tool, a connection, not a cage. Across worlds, headlines flickered. The dream is our own again. Protests and celebrations erupt on every planet. Corporate shares tumble. Mira appeared in the doorway, older and frail but free at last. Her smile was patient, eyes shining with tears. "You did what we couldn't, trusted the next mind in line. That's how humanity grows." Alina, still trembling, looked to Jax. "Will it be chaos?" Jax's mouth pulled into a tired grin. Maybe. Sarah stepped forward, her secrets laid bare, and squeezed Jax's shoulder. But it'll finally be real. That's all any of us asked for. Days later, Jax watched millions log back into the conduit, not to be controlled, but to connect, to heal, to collaborate. The nightmares weren't gone, but neither was the possibility for more. Art, love, dissent, new dreams springing wild. Standing with Alina and Mira, under a rising sun never seen in dream, Jax felt the raw ache of both hope and fear. The real world was messy, unpredictable, fraught with old ghosts and new chances. But as he took his first true breath of morning air, he understood. Being awake together, even for all its pain, was humanity's greatest triumph. And in the hush between possibilities, the conduit's future, untamed, unwritten, belonged to everyone, at last.